Coming to you live from the Pensado Theater at the all-new SAE Los Angeles campus. Pensado's Place is brought to you by Vintage King, the Blackbird Academy, Audio Technica, Aftermaster, Isotope, Studio 202 DC, Avid, and The Recording Connection.
From My Chemical Romance to Rascal Flatts to Buckcherry, our guest skill set is absolutely amazing. You'll meet him. Gear Expo Nashville updates coming at you. Trust me, sign up right now. New ITLs from the Master Blaster. Got a date for when we air the Pensado Awards. There's a lot going on. Team, let's do it. You're at the place. It's Pensado's Place. Yeah.
Hey guys, thanks so much for dropping by and hanging out with us. It's going to be a great show. Say that every week because it is. It's going to be another great show, right, Herbert?
Given the colors of our shirts, it has to go someplace.
Mustard and ketchup.
Oh, there you go. It's a hot dog kind of day. What a great analogy. Have you recovered? You feel okay?
I have. You know,
Good.
Our audience and our friends have a way of rejuvenating you. You worked so hard on that award show, and it took a big toll on you. But somehow the rejuvenation comes from the people that enjoyed it.
My God.
And kind of gave us credit, but it was them that should have the credit, you know.
Well,
for
and
making
also,
it all happen.
here's where you're also being kind. You were mixing a hellacious set of records here recently, so and really, really well. Shall we get to the stuff?
Let's do it.
Cool. Hi, everybody. Happy to spend time with you. Your support, most appreciated. Like and subscribe, please. To our family band, Vintage King, the Blackbird Academy, Audio Technica, Aftermaster, Isotope, Recording Connection, and Avid. They are amazing brands backed by amazing people, truly. Yeah. Big Nashville week coming up. For those of you who want a week-long intensive with Dave.
I gotta cut you off, buddy.
Go ahead.
Please come, guys. Nobody has more fun than me, and we're gonna learn so much. I learned from you guys. Bring me some mixes, I'll check them out. We're gonna have a lot of friends come by. I really want you to be there. I don't ask you that often directly, but this time I want to see some of you guys there.
And Hattie B's chicken. We'll throw some chicken in there. So, Dave will be there September 21st to the 25th in the incredible Blackbird Studios, tracking, miking, recording, vocals, mixing a full project, evaluating your mixes, special friends from Nashville, special friends from LA, and then Dave will put the community together and keep it together all year with back and forth conversations. If you want your game improved dramatically in a week, sign up for the Blackbird Sessions. Go to the Blackbird website for all the info, or hit our girl Karma Banstra at karma@theblackbirdacademy.com. She'll help you get registered. There is a fee, but this is a deep, long, intensive, and you'll see why the value is worth it.
Yes.
So that is the beginning of the week, and it's the weekend. That Saturday, September 26th, it's the third annual Pensado Gear Expo Nashville, from 10 to 4 at the award-winning, iconic Vintage King facility in Nashville. Free admission, free parking. It's just an audio block party. Here's the deal. You can win free gear, scholarships, merchandising. Check out these panels. For the ladies and men of our audience, in our Warrior Princess panel, meet powerful, powerful ladies. Each of these ladies get it done at a very high level. If you're doing and making any music, you need to understand digital media marketing and how to improve your brand and grow your audience. So we're going to have a marketing and media panel. The producer of Pensado's Place, and part of the reason we're successful will be there, me and a few others. This panel, critical for you. If you make music, post it, are an artist, interested in building your own brand.
Have your own TV show.
Have your own TV show, your own web show. You want to learn here. And then there's the shot callers panel. All ballers at the top of the game, all will show you how to win big if you're interested in winning big. We're going to look at some of the names here, and we're going to be adding more. Is that all? No, it would be Pensado if that was it. We've got giveaways from Gobbler, Ultimate Ears, Audio Technica, Chandler, Ableton, Pensado's Place, Avid, Isotope, and API all through the day. We're going to take a break at lunch and have an electronic jam. These are machines that you can use in the studio to enhance your music, or you can use on stage to enhance your music. Yeah.
I'm excited this year because this will be the first year that I'm eligible to win something.
Absolutely. In fact, you're going to perform, you're going to twerk I think, correct. So here's how that will go.
What's that got to do with me winning something
Well,
this
if you
year?
twerk good enough,
I'm
you
going
win.
for the Gobbler Award, or maybe the move. No, I want the machine. That's what I want.
So here's what
You
you'll
can make
do.
that happen, right, Chongor?
Chongor can make it happen. Chongor is bending down, holding the teleprompter, which is who he's pointing to. Grab a brew and a dog. Watch these insane demos from Moog, Ableton, and Native Instrument. Jeremy Ellis is going to come down and rock the machine, M-A-S-C-H-I-N-E. That's a Native Instrument thing. Jeremy and Native Instruments were winner of the Pensado Awards. Jeremy is actually the white guy in the Roots. And when you see what he does on these machines, it is absolute killer. And I'm thinking about a little surprise I might bring down to add to Jeremy's thing.
Do I know?
Not yet.
Oh.
Along with all those activities, there are vendor booths from all these different brands that you see behind me. We're going to do some special things for information for you. For example, at the Audio Technica booth, Chris, the mic master, will be there all day long. Get all your mic questions answered for your project studios, if you're recording live, if you're tracking, all kinds of stuff, much, much more. You think that's it? Hell no. Never. There will also be a VIP party hang afterwards at the Blackbird Studio Birdhouse.
Ooh.
Now, we're going to invite a lot of our VIPs, but we want you to come too. So we've got about 30 or 40 slots available for you to attend and hang with your heroes. Dave and I want to see you there.
Yep.
How do you qualify? Really simple. First, sign up quick. We're going to monitor all the signups from the time the show is taped till we tape the next week. So get it quickly. We're going to identify you. Then, once we identify you, we'll inform you of those who've qualified, but that's not all. If you show up at the event, Stephanie Spitfire Willis will have special VIP wristbands. Chongor's going to have some. I'm going to have some. Dave's going to have some. We're going to scour the crowd all day for those who show up early, are engaged and happy and excited and just in audio nirvana. And we're going to slip you those wristbands and let you come to the party right afterwards. For all the information, for joining us, for seeing us, for us seeing you, for you not hesitating, go to gearexponashville.com, sign up ASAP, hurry up, don't miss out. It is going to be a blast. You excited about it?
I'm already packed.
So me too, actually. I can't believe how much I want to go.
A UPS 2 weeks worth of underwear. I'm ready to rock.
That's all we need. Depends. You do Depends Plus.
Well, you failed me on that endorsement.
I did.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. I'm
no.
a bad manager. Yeah. It's going to be fun. You shot some new ITLs. You got one for us?
Brian and I got some great ones. This week's Into the Layer is going to be new gear I use on every mix. I think you're going to enjoy it. It's 3 pieces that you might not have heard of. In fact, I doubt if you have. Pretty cool stuff.
Good deal. See you there.
So today I want to share with you 3 pieces of gear that I use on every mix. And I don't just use them because I like the people that are involved with these pieces of gear. They're special people, but these things you just can't get this sound anyplace else. So we're going to start off with a piece of gear called the Locomotive. Now the Locomotive is a compressor made in St. Louis by Eric Stroth, a young man who uses it. He makes them by himself. They're like little pieces of art on the inside. I want you to go to the website. The website is locomotiveaudio.com. Check out the insides, check out all the features of the stuff. This thing is going to be, it's destined to be a classic. It's really good. The Locomotive, now it's got, when you go to the website, you'll see, and Brian's going to run some photos that you can look at. You'll see it's got a tack and release. It's got a high-pass filter on the side chain. It's got input and output gain, which is kind of neat. And it's also got a switch where you can use it as a limiter, as a compressor. Full-featured. It does a neat thing where Eric has emulated the biasing of the input tube, kind of like some of our favorite compressors have done in the past, the Fairchild, the Collins, the Gates, which is one of my favorites. So special thanks to Edwin Oliver, who's got me exposed to this and got me set up, and then Bob Horn, of course. We both own all these pieces of gear, so Bob has been instrumental in helping me get these things. So I'm gonna play you a little piece, do a little before and after, and just like I said, I just want to expose you to this. Do your homework. Run, grab one. Okay. So here's an artist Magdalena Tull, T-U-L, amazing artist, European artist. So here's her vocal. The song is called Closer. It'll be a single real soon. So check this out.
Even when you doubt the daylight, receiving the sorrow.
Now here's With It.
Even when you doubt the daylight, receiving the sorrow.
Without It.
Even when you doubt the daylight.
On my meters, it's actually showing louder without it than with it, but it sounds louder with it. And you can see it just adds a roundness to the voice. All of the things you want a compressor to do, this thing does really amazingly well. Now, I want to show you a piece of gear that my friend Jeff Terzo at Overstayer makes some amazing pieces of equipment. Jeff started by trying to see if he could make a great compressor with stock off-the-shelf parts. And everybody's bought this thing. That compressor is called his FET compressor, and this company's called Overstayer, S-T-A-Y-E-R. He loaned me a prototype a while back, and I hope he doesn't watch this because he's never getting it back. But he calls it the MAS. Leandro, think of something funny we can make up with MAS. Can't think of anything? Send your cards and letters to overstayer.com and have some suggestions for what this thing. Jeff's going to kill me. Now, this piece of gear, think of it as taking a console, say an SSL, one of the more modern consoles, and when you hit the console hard, what you're doing is you're inducing a little bit of compression, a little bit of limiting, and the way the distortion comes through these consoles, it's a little more pleasing because it rounds off some edges and does a lot of things that we'll have a physics course soon and explain. The main thing is this stuff really sounds good when it goes through this thing. So let me set that up. Okay, so let's take a listen. This is same song. This is without the Overstayer MAS. Okay, this is gonna scare you. Watch this. Yeah, BP. I set it up kind of subtle, so but you can see it got louder, but not necessarily more gain on the meter. It's it helps you push things up to a ceiling, the way I think of it. But instead of hitting the ceiling and having a hard ceiling, it kind of makes it smooth and makes it just kind of, I don't know, just better. It makes it Overstayer. I got one more to share with you. Okay, now I'm going to play you the Black Box HG2 by Eric Racy and his partner Robert Wainscott. I think I said that right. Robert, I apologize if I pronounced that wrong. Now this is a bit of a different situation than the other pieces of gear that we looked at. Now the locomotive compressor is a modern take on some classic circuitry. The Overstayer MAS has no tubes. It's all analog, but it uses a combination of electronics and circuitry to emulate what happens when you have great things come to be within your mix from a console. I don't know how to describe it. I think Jeff's going to kill me for saying that. But now this particular piece of gear, I don't know quite how to describe it. It does some limiting. It does some compression. Just like the Overstayer, it actually can enrich harmonics. You can have control over the harmonic content. Check my notes out real quick. It does some saturating. I'm starting to get a little bored with the term saturation, so I hope I don't piss anybody off by saying that. But Basically, when you want it to be better, you use these 3 pieces of gear. That's kind of the bottom line. Describing what it does and all that, that's helpful, and that's good, and you should know that because that's our job and our profession and our hobby. So with this, I tend to use it if I've got guitars, particularly rock guitars, and I want them to have a little more realness to them and to kind of take a step forward in the mix. I'll put all the guitars through one aux, and I'll put this across that aux. The overstayer I tend to use more on stereo bus, and then the compressor, the locomotive compressor, you can use it in stereo, but you need 2 units. You can connect them with a switch. And so let me show you this. Leandro set this up in parallel. I was questioning it, and then I heard it, and I like the parallel. I like doing it in parallel, and it works just as well across things. So here's without it. Check these drums. Ooh, Dave, those sound so good. Thank you. Here we go. With it. Come on, man, give it up. I noticed I went a tiny bit louder with it, but not that much. On my meter, it's looking like about 0.5 dB. But you can hear how it just, I don't know, it just sounds better. How would you describe it, Leandro?
I think it adds some nice color to it and brings some nice strength to the drums too.
I agree with that. Leandro's mentioned color. I think all 3 of these pieces of gear, what I like about them is they add colors and textures. I know I'm starting to sound like well, let's don't go there. A lot of times people just, you know what? The hardest thing in audio is to describe these things, because when you describe them from a scientific standpoint, they don't mean anything. And so you tend to use things like color and texture and all those kinds of things, and those are hard to describe. So the best thing to do is get some demos, check these things out for yourself. I promise you these things work for me. That was kind of a commercial type thing to do, one of those agreements you read. I promise it works for me. I promise you're gonna like it. Somebody out there is gonna like it. I promise you I like it. There we go. Check it out. See you soon. Hey guys, I want you to hang out with Mike Plotnikoff and myself today. Mike's an engineer whose work I've known and enjoyed and ripped off a few things from over the years. He's somebody that we can all learn from. And today I thought we'd just sit down with Mike and have a little chat.
Nice.
How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great.
Man, we were talking last night, and you shared with me a little bit about how you got started. I mean, nobody effed up more than you and still has a career. Can you kind of share that with us?
Yes, I did. And that's
it wasn't that big.
It wasn't that big, but yes, I did learn from my mistakes and learned how to cover my mistakes. And I think that's, by making the mistakes, I learned not to do that and how to become better. Mm-hmm. And, I became good at covering myself. So then I started thinking ahead. I was always thinking one step ahead. Because what if I do make a mistake? What if somebody punches in something? So I, back in the analog days, when we didn't have playlists and undos, if we made a mistake.
All you had was a razor blade and some tape.
That's right. So, I learned to back everything up, and, I made a few mistakes.
You did a bad edit, right?
I did a bad edit, and I could tell you the story. It was actually,
they don't even know what tape is. So, when a piece of tape's going across the tape machine, there's 2 heads. There's a sync head, which allows you to record and monitor from that head, and then there's the playback head, which is usually better quality. So the tape goes past it. And so depending on which of these 2 heads you listen to as you rock the tape and try to listen to a sound and do an edit right there, well, he should have been listening to this one and he was listening to this one, so his edit was that much off.
Which is actually 52 milliseconds. I know the exact number.
You show him the tattoo.
Yeah, it's a 52 millisecond gap. So, as a young kid on first session, after being basically coming from a runner to an assistant, watching engineers do tape editing, I thought, hey, I could do this, no problem, had all this confidence. but I marked it off the wrong head. So of course I go to play it back, and you hear this duh-duh. It's like the flam, and I panicked. And of course, now I would know. Okay, just put the tape back together and see where I went wrong. But I didn't. I was so nervous. I just thought, that sounds like it's about that much too late. So I took out another piece.
Made it twice as bad.
Yeah, I made it twice as bad. Anyways, story got worse. So I got fired from the session right at the beginning. It was very painful. Ended up going home in tears. Going, I'm never gonna work again. Lucky the tech at the studio, liked me, and he wanted me to succeed. He saw my enthusiasm and wanting to learn. So he goes, Mike, come in. There's, old tape up in the storage room. Just go grab a couple and start practicing. So I remember I go, that's it. I'm gonna be the best tape editor ever. So I just sat for 2 weeks. I'd spend hours just practicing doing air cuts and making drums in time, and until I got really good at it. But then it became that everybody, let Mike do the tape editing. So the producer would go home and engineer at 9 o'clock at night or 10 o'clock, and they'd just give me the edit map, and I'd be there till 6 in the morning cutting tape.
But you were in the studio.
But I was in the studio, and I learned to be really good. So I got to work on the big sessions, and that's finally why I got to work with Bruce Fairbairn and started working on AC/DC and the Aerosmith records and the Bon Jovi records back then, because they go, well, he could do it.
You worked with Mutt, did you?
I did. I worked with Mutt on
Bob Rock.
and Bob Rock. I worked with growing up at Little Mountain, they were all going through there.
Oh yeah, Little Mountain was the studio in Vancouver.
In Vancouver.
And a lot of people don't know this, but Bob Clearmountain worked there, and it was named after Bob Clearmountain because Bob's a giant, and it was just a little mountain, wasn't a big mountain.
Yeah, right, but yeah, so I got to work with
You didn't know that, did you?
I didn't know that, yeah.
I'm going to do something a little different. I'm going to ask you, a producer, and tell me, if you can, something that you took away from that being around them. It doesn't have to be like a piece of gear or something, but what did you take away working with Bob Clearmountain?
Well, I just think it was just how they envisioned a song, like each person, each producer, different producers I worked with, it wasn't about getting that exact perfect snare sound or that perfect guitar sound. It's how they envisioned the song and how the song should sound. So the really great people, they looked at the song as this living organism, and it was always changing and growing, and they just really knew what the song should be.
Specifically, what did you get from Bob, though?
The clarity and of his sounds. His sounds were so clear, and
at the time it was like nothing we'd heard.
Exactly. It was
now everybody copies it.
Yeah, like other people would be, the mixes would be a little dirty and messy, but Bob's were just so pristine and clear, and the imaging of his mixes were amazing.
And what did you get from Mutt? The opposite?
Well, Mutt was just his thing to hear things that nobody else could hear, but at the end of the process, it just, what it sounded like.
He's meticulous.
He's so meticulous, and it would be like, back then it would be moving things subframe, so we'd fly things off to D88, and that syllable's like 3 subframes late, so could we move it 3 subframes, and we'd be all doing that, and could you run that through?
A subframe would be how much of a second?
Ooh, millisecond. That'd be like
20 milliseconds, something like that. A small amount.
It's a small
but
amount.
Audible.
But yeah, audible, and he would just know all these things. And
doing that with tape has got to be just like suicide.
It was painstaking to do it, because you'd just be flying off these little vocal parts, and then you'd lock it up with a subframe off, and then refly back in and try to punch it in to get it in time, or or that vocal. We had no auto-tune back then, so we'd use H3000s to tune it, and we had it set up on the SSL where you'd have the VCA would send a MIDI signal to the H3000, so we could automate the vocal pitch.
I did the same thing.
Yeah, so we'd be riding the pitch. Back then you had to use your ears to do it, but it was so meticulous all the time. But
I would record that MIDI information into a sequencer, and then I could slide the MIDI on the sequencer.
Yeah.
So I had a little bit of cheat. What'd you get from Bob Rock? One of my favorites of all time.
Bob was, again, I think I learned a lot from the guitars, how he recorded guitars and drums. He just had it wasn't like how he would record snare drums and the sounds he would get from snare drums and guitars. So he really had a sound. He always knew his snare drum sound, how he mic'd the drum rooms.
And then If you guys don't know, Mike spends a lot of time with our dear friend Howard Benson, and I guess about the last 8 years, pretty much all the big records like My Chemical Romance, All American Rejects, all those records you did with
I
Howard.
did all with Howard. I started working with Howard.
What did you get from Howard?
Oh, Howard's just like, he's amazing at getting the songs. You know, that's his forte. He's so good at knowing what's a great song and what's a hit song, because all these songs come in.
In multiple genres, too.
In multiple genres. And he's great at vocals. He's great at getting the band to, the energy, too, from the band. You know, cool. Where he pulls out the best out of everybody.
Pretty good musician, too.
Yeah, he's a great keyboard player. You know, he plays keyboards on all the records we do. And yeah, he's really great at harmonies and vocals, stacking his vocal arrangements.
So on 15, the new Buck Cherry record, Crazy Bitches, we were talking about it earlier today, and everybody in the room, that's my favorite song. I heard that on the way over. You produced, engineered, and mixed that entire record,
yes,
right?
Yes, I did.
So in terms of all of these influences, you synthesize them and absorb them through Mike Plotnikoff. How did those come back out on a record like that? Like your drum sounds, man, you're a walking sample library. Your drum sounds are amazing.
Thanks, I appreciate it.
And your guitar sounds, I'm a guitar player, so being one yourself, we can be a little snobby about guitar sounds, and guitar sounds are very private, personal things, but I love your guitar sounds. They just drip with energy and power. And
you know, that's what I'm going for, is the energy and power, and I like a real throatiness in the guitar. Yeah. So, I try to always get that throatiness and energy out of my guitar sounds.
And take me through your chain on say, on the Buck Cherry record, not the solo, but the rhythm parts. Did you go the traditional route with a 122 and all that kind of stuff in a 1073 through 1176?
It would be 1073s on the guitars for the mic preamps, and usually it's just honestly a 57. I don't use, if I do, I use a 122 every now and then. If I just need a little low end, I'll blend that in. Okay. But it's mainly a 57, 421 sometimes if I want a little bit more of the 4K in the guitar tone without having to.
And do you compress going into Pro Tools?
I don't, not guitars. There's no compression unless it's a clean guitar.
And in terms of the guitar player using pedals, what's your stance on that? Do you try to record a clean one without and a clean one with?
No, it would be like, let's get that guitar tone, and if it requires a pedal on it, we'll use a pedal. If it's not, it dictates what we're going to do for the sound.
Do you ever reamp via a DI?
Yes, I record with everything I do. I record a DI with it, so there's always the main track and a DI underneath. No matter what guitar sound I do, there's always a splitter. And your drum sounds tend to not be static. Like I never can remember this group name. So, oh crap! Help me! Oh, Escape the Fate.
Yeah, Escape the Faith. A whole different sound. Escape the Faith is all about power and just heaviness, and then the Buck Cherry record is about as close as you'd want to come to a pop song, but it's not. It's a rock song, but it's just got a great melody and it's great sounds. But the drum sounds are completely different. Do you approach the drums uniquely every time, or do you have certain things? Do you always use a KM84 on the hi-hat? Do you always, or
I do. The drums, mics, I use the same, pretty much the same, but it's how I'll put more EQ actually going to. So like with the Escape the Fate, it'll be more EQ, more scoop sounds for that metal sound. So that
you take out like some 800.
Yeah, 800. A lot of 800, a lot of 300 is probably almost all the way out, and then I'll add boost a lot of, upper frequencies like 10K, 5K. On the kicks, so it's more for the metal sound. Where the Buck Cherry stuff, it'll be more, because it's a rock thing, so I'll go more natural sounding on it's not so scooped.
And I love the vocal. Tell me if I'm wrong. It feels to me like the guitars had occupied so much space in a wonderful way, and if it had been an instrumental, I'd have been just as happy, so let's clarify that. And then you got to sit a vocal on top of that, and the vocal feels to me. Did you intentionally take out some of the frequencies on the bottom that were already covered by the bass and guitar, or was that just the way you heard it? What was your approach to the vocal?
Well, yeah, the vocal would be probably unless not as much taking out, but more adding to get it to stand out.
Like you add some like 1.6?
1.6 up to 2K, and then a little bit like shelving, probably from 6K
cool.
up, and hitting it hard, but then into a compressor. So
what did you use?
Usually on the vocals, it'll be like I'll go through a 902 de-esser, out of a 902 de-esser into 1176 or LA2A, and then
You don't like de-essing in Pro Tools? I mean,
I'll do
that's
now
the one thing that a lot of the rock guys would say.
Nowadays I do de-essing in Pro Tools, but on the Buck Cherry it wasn't. If we were talking about Buck Cherry, it was that my chain. I remember what it was because that was before I would.
Do you ever add samples to the recorded drums, not to replace the sound, but to just enhance the sound?
Yeah. But I always sample the kit we use.
Okay.
So I'll use the kick from that, so it doesn't sound like there's like a foreign kick coming in or a foreign snare drum. So we'll just take clean hits and then try to get a really nice sample of that kit and then add it in.
Yeah. So sometimes you guys, the drummer might hit the hi-hat a little hard, but snare at the same time, and for a mix engineer that creates a problem because you turn the high end on the snare up, you also turn the high end of the hi-hat up. So you do a clean snare for those moments. You can just put
That's
that sample
right. I could
in.
add the sample in, and then nobody goes, "Oh, there's a foreign," there's a foreign sample coming in. You can't hear it because it's the exact same sound we use during. So we'll finish the takes, and once we finish that song, we grab the samples from that song.
Leandro and I were listening to that song today, and we were both impressed by the guitar that's panned so hard left by itself. And what impressed me is my need for symmetry. I would have balanced it over here, but you were just proud to let that guy just ride over there.
Right by itself.
That was so cool. What was your thought process behind that? Just to make something that made me happy?
Yeah. Again, it's like a vibe, and I want to imagine it's like on stage. So if I'm, seeing the band on stage, it's just the one guitar player. He's by himself, and since it is a rock band,
and
4-piece.
When you work with some of these great producers, particularly Howard, and then you work for yourself, are you a different person than when you engineer for yourself, or are you just be Mike?
I'm Mike, but there's a certain thing that Howard does like so I'll give him what he wants.
Gotcha.
So he wants a certain thing, so I make sure that I give him that. But he's one thing great with working with Howard is he lets me be creative as well. He wants to go do your thing. So I want to see what you bring me. So I give him what he wants, and then I give him what I hear as well. And he goes, "Oh, okay, great. I could use this and a little bit of that."
A lot of people out there think, and I was one of these people, that the difference between you today and me when I started out was that you just had more gear. It couldn't have been my skill set. It was just that you lived and worked in a great studio, and I didn't. So from your personal perspective, let's say you 20 years ago, and now you've got 500% more gear. Are you 500% better?
No.
How do you talk to a young cat coming up that wants to be you? How do you get past that period when you don't have? I mean, you got an obscene amount of amps. Come on, let's face it.
Yeah, I do. I have a lot of gear.
And I would argue that the taste is more important than the amount of gear. The amount of gear helps a lot because you can do more and you have options. But explain to a cat coming up that process of when you went from not having a lot of gear but having great taste to now.
Well, I think that's what it is.
Make them feel good, Mike.
Make them feel good? It's, you have to envision the song and see what's best for the song. And sometimes a lot of gear could be a detriment to you because you spend more time messing around with the gear rather than listening to the song. And maybe the song doesn't need all of these colors. You could overload it when you have so much gear.
Do you find you're tempted to do that now?
I do sometimes.
Me too.
I'll find that, I got all this gear, I better try this, and now I have all these plugins that I didn't have yet, and I have outboard gear and different amps, so you think that you need to use them all when you really don't. Sometimes, it's just you add too much color, and then when you strip the song down to what the bare essentials of the song is, you're better off.
Do you prefer mixing other people's stuff or mixing your own stuff that you've tracked?
I like both, actually. A lot of times I love mixing other people's stuff because I like to see what they do and go, wow, I wouldn't have thought of this, and this is really cool, and add to it. When I do my stuff, when I record, it's already mixed. As I record, it's a mixing process. So there's nothing really new for me. So it's like when I get to the end of the project, it's just really a few little things, and it's done. But when I get somebody else's mix, I get to go, oh, I get to start from, oh, this is a cool drum sound, or this is a cool guitar sound they use. Oh, I wouldn't have thought of putting this here, and and then I use that for for a learning process also.
That's cool.
To use it for myself.
So take me from a rather inadequate tape editor all the way up to the late 90s, and suddenly you're working on Get a Grip, which sold 20 million copies, had two of my favorite songs ever. My buddy Brendan O'Brien, we kind of started in the same area in Atlanta. You tracked and engineered that record. It sounds to me like that was a classic example of when preparation meets opportunity. Tell them how that came about.
Well, I started actually as the assistant engineer on it, and I guess 3/4 through the record, the engineer left the project, so they had me finish it. And I think it's because I would spend all those hours in the studio learning and taking a portable stereo in there, learning what every piece of gear did. And I was a young kid at the time. I was 24, and for whatever reason, Bruce Fairbairn and Steven Tyler decided they trusted me. Instead of getting a new engineer, let Mike finish it, which was supposed to be just a couple weeks of recording.
Yeah, it never happened.
It didn't. It went on for a long time.
Were you a copious note taker back then?
I was.
I'm sure.
I was. Like, my notes were. That's one thing. I was so organized.
I'm gonna tease you about that for the rest of your life.
Yeah, no, and I was telling Dave earlier today that. Back from, I guess, 2001 right up to date, I have every record that I've ever done since 2001 to now. I have notes on every sound we used, and they're all in binders in alphabetical order, so we could pull out any record we did and go, what was the arpeggio guitar sound we used in the second verse, and we could go there and go, oh, was that guitar through that pedal?
It's a little weird, Mike.
Yeah, I know. But I do have it. It's like, I do have it.
I'm tempted to go in a whole nother area with that, so let's just move on before I embarrass me and my staff. Why is it that going out to your car provides a lot of times more useful information than $1 million worth of room and gear to listen to what you've done?
That's a hard one.
It works.
It works. That's my favorite. I check all my mixes in my car. That's the best place. And I don't know what it is, but I could always tell what's wrong with the mix.
Is it just a change in space or a change in speakers?
I think it's a change in space, and I just think a car is a perfect listening environment for whatever reason. And I don't know. I wish I knew the answer, but I wish sometimes that I could mix in my car. Like, I wish I could have the console or my Pro Tools hooked up to the car so I could go sit in the car and finish the mix.
Maybe you could get like a big RV or something and a chauffeur and just...
I wonder if it'd be the same in an RV.
There were some studios... when I was in Atlanta and starting my career out, I think I remember reading about some studios that actually had cars on the lot that you could, that were hardwired so that you could listen to your mixes in the car. Do you remember any about that? You remember?
I've heard of some people that had studios like that.
I built myself, when I worked at Enterprise, I built myself an FM transmitter, and apparently I exceeded the FCC limit by about 20,000 watts, but that's another story. And so as my clients would come to the session, I'd play them where I was at on the mix and tell them what station to tune in on the FM dial, and got a little visit letter from the FCC. They weren't real happy. Apparently I was only supposed to go about to the edge of the parking lot, and I was going about 4 miles out.
Well, a treat for the people out there picking up your mixes, driving around, going through the radio station, going, "Hey, what's this?"
Yeah, maybe I never thought about that. At some point, people like you and I, we get all this exposure to a lot of talent, different ways of doing things, and invariably we think, "Man, I could use this to develop an artist." That's something you enjoy. Describe the new artists that you've been working on.
Oh, yeah. I love finding new artists and giving back, kind of like you do, trying to, on my spare time, finding artists that I believe in and developing. I found this, 4-piece young girl band here from LA called True Violet, which I,
great title.
I started developing, we just just finish the stuff, put it up on iTunes, but just helping other young artists, kind of giving back, So many people have given to me coming through my career that I feel like that's the way I could give back, whether it's helping other up-and-coming engineers or producers or helping young bands try, because a lot of young bands just don't have the resources to go into a studio and do it, but there's a lot of great talent out there.
Yeah. Our profession is populated by such wonderful people. Almost to a person, we all kind of have that need to kind of reach down and help out a cat that's just coming up. How do you find these people that you want to work with? Because I'm sure that's going to be something everybody asks.
It's working with so many artists and people, and just being it's mostly word of mouth. Somebody, hey Mike, check out this project, or can I send you this demo? Or I was on the road playing, and there's this band that opened up for me, and they're really good. You should check them out.
So that's like if I want to be a band that you work with, would you work with me?
Yeah, I'd love to listen to your stuff, and if it's good, yes.
I don't know quite how to frame this question, Mike, but is there a philosophy, and by philosophy you can use your own definition, that's at the foundation of your recording career? Like I've always kind of made my philosophy to just find great songs and let those tell me what to do. Do you have a philosophy in terms of your tracking and mixing and engineering?
I think I'm the same as you. It's about the song. I try to let the song, the song always pulls me to where it's supposed to be. Because I know a lot of times, the artists I'll work with will go, okay, they'll expect a certain thing out of me. They'll go, well, I want this really heavy guitars, but after it's finished, it kind of goes this way, and it's not heavy at all. But the song just didn't dictate that. I don't know why.
Yeah. It's bizarre, isn't it?
Yeah, so I let the song try to guide me, to where it's going to be, and follow it and let it do its thing without trying to control it so much and pull it. And I find if I control it and pull it, it doesn't work. But if I just kind of go with it and let it take me where it's going to go.
That's so cool. One last thing before we go to batter's box. Me personally, I think that a great tracking engineer has more influence over the end result and should get much more credit than us mixers in terms of the finished product, because you're with the band like months at an end, and you're taking care of all these personalities and getting everybody to, that's just more important than mixing. Now, mixing is what I do, and I think we're a special group of people. You do both equally well. Is that an accurate statement for you?
Yes, it is. Yeah, working with the personalities and dealing with them on a daily basis, it is, because you get, you're creating, so everybody has insecurity, so you have to deal with the insecurities, you have to deal with the egos. Every day is a different day. You don't know what you're going to get. There's struggles, and there's, you have struggles certain days where nothing goes, and then you have days that are just amazing, that you just leave in euphoria. You go, oh my God, this is just, it's so easy. Why can't I have it, and then you go back the next day, and so you're constantly having to adapt to the day and trying to be very neutral, because you can't, to keep
It's hard, isn't it?
It's hard, so it takes work,
But do you agree you have more influence sometimes from the tracking perspective than you would over the final product and mixing?
Yes, definitely.
Well, I wonder why so many kids coming up want to be mix engineers.
I think mix engineer is like, I get it, because I think it's like you put the final stamp on the product.
Yeah.
When you're tracking it, it could go different. It could go a bunch of different ways, even though you record all your stuff and here's the song, but you give it to the mixer, and then you put that final little bit of whoa, I didn't expect it to go there, and the mixer can't.
Sometimes we put the fine little, and sometimes we put the fine little.
Well, it depends,
I just thought of something. In our political climate today, income inequality is a buzzword. Maybe that's why people perceive that mixers make more money than trackers, and it should. If that is indeed the case, nobody pays me to track. They don't think I'm any good, but Okay, you ready for batter's box?
I'm ready.
All right, my friend.
Okay.
I got a good one for you, so I hope you warmed up a little bit.
I hope
Okay.
so.
Okay, just checking.
Yeah.
Kick drums.
D112 through a pi compressor.
Ooh, nice one. Piano.
Piano, 251s.
Acoustic guitar.
Acoustic guitar, Sheps.
Oh. Snare.
57 441. Sennheiser 441.
Really?
Yeah.
What was the chick that sang through that all the time from?
A 441?
Yeah. The flowy. Anyway, we'll come back to that. Overheads.
251s.
What piece of gear under $200 did you use on a big record?
SPX 90.
Look at you. Marshall.
57 421.
Bass.
Bass, Fit 47 421 87.
Metal vocals.
SM7.
There's a headline. Stereo bus.
Ooh, stereo bus. Ooh, that changes. I'd go Neve 33609.
Okay. You went 8-9 questions without saying the word Neve, so that automatically entitles you to a win, but I've got one more question. If your studio caught fire, besides hard drives and computers, what one piece of gear would you save first? And don't say your Neve console.
No,
either.
I wasn't. I was actually going to say, well, holy man, that's hard. I say my 58 Junior, Les Paul Junior.
Oh, wow, that's been a lot of records.
Yes, it's been a lot of records.
You use that on rhythms, right?
I use it on rhythms, my favorite guitar on rhythms. It's amazing, all original. It just has this throaty and aggressive sound to it, and it sounds great on anything.
That's so cool. Stevie Nicks was the one that used to sing through that 441 all the time.
Yeah, right.
When I was starting my career out. I just always thought that was not a good mic because she was singing through it. Not that I didn't like her or respect her, it's just, why would I use that on a snare or something? It's a beautiful looking mic though.
Oh yeah, it is, and
Sennheiser.
it sounds great.
Man, I can't thank you enough for just coming hanging out with me today and letting them sit in on this conversation. Is there something that's on your mind, something that you want to get off your chest, you want to share with our audience? Is there a piece of gear that you think I should know about that can earn me an extra $50 a day? Is there a...
Wow.
what's the worst thing about my mixes? What do you hate most about my mixes?
Wow, you put me on the spot there. I'm going
Okay, I'll tell you. Okay. I'll tell you what you don't like. Most of my guitar sounds aren't as good as yours.
Well,
so you can make fun of my guitar sounds. I use way more low end than you, and that's a good thing. So I'm gonna argue with you about that one. You should use more low end. I guess that's about it, really.
Yeah, I should use more low end. I agree. I love your low end. I'll give you that. How about I give you a compliment? I love your low end.
You feed me a straight line. You do realize that. I got a great low end.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, guys! Hey, I could talk to this cat all day long, and I'm gonna put him on the spot. We'll get together one day soon, right? Listen to his records. He's got an amazing discography on his own with other people. As a producer, as a mixer, as an engineer, he came up the hard way. He just put the time in, labored in not a major market. He labored and nowadays he's making all our favorite records. I mean, when you go look him up, you hip hop guys and you R&B guys, look him up. He's a musician. He's not just in one type of music. You can learn something from him. And anyway, I look forward to seeing you guys soon. Adios.